Hello, and welcome to episode 185 of the Casual Try Hard podcast. I'm Brian,
And I'm James.
and this week we're going to talk about MaRo's annual State of Design article.
He calls them lessons learned or whatever he calls them. Does one every year and talks about the latest releases up to, like, from the last article to this article.
Yeah, basically the, magic year, so fall to summer.
Yeah, talks about what went well, what went wrong, and things they're going to work for, and it's usually entertaining, so I figured we'd take a show and talk about some of the stuff.
All right, so we're still working on a mailbag type episode, so if you have any questions, magic related or otherwise, that you want to ask us, get us on social media. All those links are in the description below.
Yeah, I started making a list. I keep adding to it. I think I'm caught up with everyone who has sent mailbag questions, but keep them coming. We still need a bunch more. So any burning questions you have, let us know. Couple ways you guys can support the show if you like what we do here. The first is with our TCG player affiliate link, tcg.CasualTryHardMTG.com. Follow that link to TCG player. Soon it's going to be your only option. TCG player's taking over all of Magic eventually, looks like. Follow that link, do your shopping. We'll get a percentage of whatever you purchase, and it helps us pay all the bills we have for making this show. So we would appreciate if you did that when you make your Magic purchases. If you want to support us directly, you can do so at patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG, where patrons get access to our show notes. They get to kind of listen to a whole nother show that's not really a show. It's just us hanging out and talking, but that's kind of what we do every week anyway. So basically, patrons get a whole extra show. If you want to listen to that, head on over to patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG and chip a couple bucks in. That helps us out greatly, and we really appreciate it. We have our YouTube channel where you can check out the video version of this episode. We'd appreciate it if you went over there and subscribed and gave us a thumbs up, left a comment or two. That would be awesome if you could do that as well. And then, like Brian said, we got our mailbag episode coming up. So any burning questions you guys have, Magic or not, send them on over. All the links to social media, ways you can get at us are in the description.
All right, so first thing we're going to talk about is not MaRo, but my adventure into my first Commander games. And we played PDH, so Pauper Commander, with the PDH podcast. So that is loyal listener Brad.
Yep, and his co-host Dave.
Yeah. And it was interesting.
It was interesting, for sure.
The PDH podcast won. We were on their turf.
They trounced us.
Yes. But I had the memeiest deck. It wasn't good that every time I played a card, there was just chuckles.
Honestly, I didn't know what half of the cards I didn't know what half of anybody's cards did, but your cards were. There were some deep cuts.
Some deep cuts. So, for those who didn't listen to a pre-show a while back, I played Slippery Bogle and decided that I would play a Slippery Bogle and then only Pants. Yep. So it was onlypants.com. And so it was a Slippery Bogle and only Aura. So we used to call Bogles. It was you had to mulligan to a little kid in your opening hand.
And then put pants on him.
You had to play the little kid. You had to put pants on the little kid. Then you had to send him to school.
Yep.
And I put pants on my little kid. I sent him to school. He never quite made it to school.
It was pretty entertaining for a while, though.
Yeah. He kept stopping to help someone find their lost puppy and got stuck into a van.
Distracted.
Never to be seen again.
Yeah.
And then you played Oddsmaker?
Yeah, we played 2 games. The first deck I played Azra Oddsmaker, which is kind of like a Madness deck. It lets you, I like the way Dave put it when we were playing, you bet on a creature, you discard a card, and then if that creature connects, you get to draw 2 cards. Because it has a built-in discard outlet in the command zone, I built it like a Madness deck, so I was getting value off of the discard as well as refilling my hand. and it seemed to work pretty well. I never ran out of gas. I stumbled on mana a little bit, but never ran out of gas.
And then, what was your second commander?
So the second commander I played was partner commanders. It was Dargo, the giant pirate, and Tormod the Desecrator.
He's not okay, the giant pirate.
Yeah, he hits pretty hard. He comes down pretty quick.
And it's so much commander damage.
Yeah, lots of commander damage.
Rough. It's rough. So, and then Dave played some like Commander Legends commander.
Yeah, I don't remember what the name of it was.
It was like blue-black, and it gave you the initiative.
Yeah,
and then once you completed
a
dungeon,
it gave like +5/+0 or something.
Like +5/+0 in every keyword you could think of, like First Strike, Menace, Death Touch.
Maybe. I think it gave Death Touch regardless.
Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah. It was interesting for a while when you had that aura on your Bogle and were just like bouncing his commander every turn.
Yeah, Silent Sigil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd get the initiative, go down the thing, bounce his commander.
Yeah, except then like you kept having the initiative, and that incentivized me to attack you, and the only thing I could attack you with that you couldn't block hit really hard, so I ended up basically taking you out.
It was rough, man. It was rough.
Yeah.
Sigil of Sleep was the MVP of those games.
Yeah. Very entertaining.
And then Brad's second commander was black-white and didn't really get to do anything.
Yeah.
The first commander was
experience counters, I think.
Yeah, and then the first game was a background commander.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Gut, I think.
I actually have one right here on top of my stack of cards.
A Gut?
Because I bought it as a possible like a cube in insert. So it's Gut, True Soul, Zealot.
Yeah.
It's a 2/2 for 3, and whenever you attack, you can sacrifice a creature or an artifact. And you make a 4/1 black skeleton creature token with menace that is tapped and attacking.
Mm-hmm. And then he had a background that gave all tokens +2/+2. So he was just making giant every
skeletons.
Turn. Yeah. Ended the game very quickly.
So, if you listen to our pre-show, this kind of comes through. But I will say that Slippery Bogle is, regardless of how you... apparently there's a Tier 2 version of Slippery Bogle.
Mm-hmm.
Not my version. But apparently there's a Tier 2 version somewhere.
Well, probably playing like some sort of interaction would have been good instead of just...
Hey! I had 2 fight spell, 2 auras that let me Cartouche of Strength, and then the like +0/+2 like Warbriar or something from there's two pieces of interaction
in 100
so
card
much
deck.
Interaction in a 100 card deck. 2. Hey, I was there for a good time, not a long time.
That's
as
right.
Evidenced by but like the uncommon commanders are at a significantly higher power level than uncommons not designed in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And not designed for commander.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I don't know, like, looking at, like, the list, it felt like that he had sent, the Bride had sent, it felt like Tatsiova was the only, like, old-ish uncommon.
Not even that old.
Yeah, but like old-ish would be the best way I can describe it.
Tatsiova is like a Tier 1 commander in Commander.
Yeah,
and CDH too, I think.
Yeah, so it's just a weird. I don't know. I was just like, wow, like. Each of their commanders is like doing like 3 things a turn.
Yeah.
And mine can't block because there's only one green common enchantment that gives vigilance. It was in there. There's only one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just I was like, oh, this is what you get when you like play a deck, like a commander that is of the right power level.
Mm-hmm. I was surprised with how much combat there was. Like when
I think that was my fault.
Well, I mean, I was playing decks that were both of my commanders were focused on combat also, and that probably didn't hurt. But like even when I've played like actual commander in the past with generals that focused on combat, I didn't feel like there was as much combat as there was on Saturday.
Yeah, we were always just like attacking.
I think every turn is, if you had a creature, you attacked with it. Everybody.
Yeah, I mean, like it wouldn't gut. I mean, doesn't do anything unless you like attack.
Right.
Right. Odds maker doesn't do anything unless you attack.
Right.
So you're like kind of Slippery Bogle doesn't do anything. And then the blue black commander, like it actually like, right, it did a little bit.
Well,
it really didn't do anything unless you attacked.
Yeah, it incentivized you to attack because you got the initiative, and then somebody wanted the initiative and took it, and you had to get it back.
Yeah, I wonder if that was the thing they were like trying to do, like maybe. Especially like because all the candidates we're talking about are for Commander Legends, right?
Yeah, mine were from the first Commander Legends. Ezra Ozmaker, I think, was from Battle Bond, which I guess is kind of like a precursor to Commander Legends, but.
And Gut is from the most recent Commander Legends.
Yep.
So I wonder if they were like, we need to make these limited games not take like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So we need to like make commanders. It's kind of like when we look at a limited format, like think about like Streets of New Capenna. All the cards that have blitz on them, have no text unless you attack with them, basically.
Right.
Or like if you go way back, was it Amonkhet had Exert?
Yep.
Yeah, it was Amonkhet.
No, it was Hour.
Yeah, it was not. Was it Hour?
I think it was
Glorybringer was no. Glorybringer was in.
Oh, maybe you're
was
right.
in.
Yeah, maybe
Amonkhet. Right. I thought. Right, like those cards didn't have any text.
Yeah.
Unless you like attacked with them.
Yeah.
Right. It was like, was it Gustwalker? Was a 2-mana 2/2. Unless you attacked with it. So it really like so when you get those keywords that focus on attacking, right? That's one of the ways I try to shortcut to figure out if a limited format is going to be aggressive. Is like, hey, like or one of the two of the keywords don't do anything unless you attack.
Right.
And it's like, oh, like now, New Capenna being a 3-color set, I didn't think like, oh, that's gonna totally like be aggressive. I was like, oh, 3 colors, it'll be slow. But like Blitz doesn't do anything unless you're like beating face.
Yep.
So shortcut for things. So like if all of your uncommon commanders are all like, for me to do anything, beat face, then your format gets aggressive because you have to attack.
Yeah. So what'd you think about Spell Table? That was your first time using Spell Table too, right?
I was impressed. I thought it was going to be like a program. The fact that it was just like a web app. The fact that like you could just like, when I went onto the site, there were just random EDH games looking for people. There were a handful of like modern games looking to happen. But I did think that like this could be, we're going to spring something on you now, a way that we could like dust off like legacy cards and like record legacy games. Right? Because like to give like the novelty of like actually like having the cards.
Yeah, I think that was. I kind of had some issues with Spell Table. Not that like I think there's anything wrong with the program, but I think trying to familiarize yourself with a format that you're not familiar with via Spell Table is very difficult because we've kind of been trained over the last couple of years playing digitally that you just can like mouse over a card and see what the card does, and that's not. I think there's a way to do it because I think somehow like my screen got backdoored into doing it, but I couldn't figure it out for anybody else, and it like just pissed me off when I was on my screen.
So I don't know what yours was doing.
Yeah.
But there was like a little bar along the right-hand side of the screen.
Yeah.
And I could go over any card and click on it. And about 80% of the time, it brought up that card.
Oh, okay.
And let me read in like a window, and it kept track of all the cards I looked at previously.
Okay.
Now, your camera, you had talked about, was being a little wonky.
Yeah, it was.
So
and it cut out twice.
It didn't work on your cards for me.
Okay.
Or every so often it did.
Yeah.
But like because your video was a little sketch.
Yeah.
I don't think it could see the cards well enough, but I could do it on Brad's. But like I went through like 15 minutes where it just didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, it worked all right. Where you could like click on the card, and it would like bring up a picture of the card.
Yeah, well, I mean that would be nice. I wish that had worked. And then, like you said, with my my video being wonky, that was an issue also because I couldn't really tell. I was very fixated on why isn't my video working now because it looked great when I tested it out, and like that kind of distracted me a little bit. But also, like it was hard to see other. Like it wasn't just my cards; it was hard to see the other cards because you're like you're on 4 people on a little monitor and.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like if you were super committed to playing Spell Table all the time, I am sure that you can get a camera that makes it look like amazing.
Yeah.
It's just then a limit of what kind of video Spell Table can handle.
Right.
Because like my brother does D&D, and he's the DM, and he does it all remotely. And like he has like a DSLR 4K camera.
Well, I mean,
mounted.
I was using a GoPro, but maybe that's the issue. Maybe Spell Table couldn't handle the video from my GoPro. And
maybe it was compressing it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it was just like I don't know what to do because like I was just using my like little Logitech, and it worked fine.
Yeah.
So, but like I was impressed with how well Spell Table worked, and it seems like if you just wandered in to get a game, if you just like were like I want to play some Commander, like you could get Commander games on Spell Table.
Yeah.
I don't know if you get any other games, but like it seems like you could get. So like right now, because I have Spell Table up on another tab here. Right now there is 1, 2, 3, 4. There of the 12 that are up right now, 11 of them are what's it called? 11 of them are
Commander.
On page 1, 11 of them are Commander, 1 is Modern.
Yeah.
On page 2, it is all Commander.
Yeah.
So like if you want to Commander, there are just Commander games
as far as you can
all
see.
over the place. Yeah. So I think that you can definitely like get a Commander game. But like I'm sure Wizards has this data.
Oh yeah.
Right, and they're like, oh, people are just playing Commander. Also, I didn't mention it on stream, I thought about it, but the greatest indignity is when you die and you click the like no longer in the game button, they hit you with an ad.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was like, what the like it's not bad enough that I lost. You're like, hey, shop Amazon, shop Secret Lair. And I'm just like, no, just let me sit here and wallow. Don't like try. It was like
you need better cards.
Where to buy? Your local store, Amazon, Secret Lair.
Yeah.
Just like no, don't do that to me. I'm good.
Yeah.
So the format seemed interesting.
Yeah.
Like I would do it again. I would definitely like go seek out a Commander printed in the last 2 years.
Not a Slippery Boy.
No, or I would have to like build like a real Slippery Boy deck, but
yeah,
no, only pants. Like maybe I'll just keep this together. I can dust it off and just be like, as they print new auras.
Yeah,
it's like slide them in.
Slide them in.
Like, oh hey, this aura seems untested. Right in the deck.
There you go, buddy.
All right. Speaking of untested. Let's talk about the State of Design from 2022.
Yeah.
we have all the points from the entire article. We may go through some of them, or we may skip some of them, but we'll give you kind of the big takeaways.
Yeah. I started going through and making notes, and then kind of ran out of time, so I didn't get through the whole article in the show notes. So yeah, I don't know if you want to just go through the article, or if you want to go through some of my points and then go back to the article, or what you think.
Whichever. I have the article up.
All right. Well, let's just go through the article then.
All right. So he breaks it down into like 5 sections. One is like the year as a whole.
Yep.
And then he has a section for each of the
individual sets. Yeah.
Right. So I think the one we have to go over kind of in depth is, I think, the overall Magic design, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
as opposed to getting hung up on different things. And so the first highlight is we push the boundaries of what Magic can do.
Yeah, so like the way he rates these articles, he doesn't call them pros and cons, or he doesn't really give like negative connotations to anything really. They're highlights and lessons. So the highlights are what they did right, and the lessons are not necessarily what they did wrong, but what they learned from doing something wrong. So
things they may want to improve on in the future.
Yeah. So the first thing they have as a highlight is that they push the boundaries of what Magic can do. Boy, did they.
So, like, the first time I read this, I was like, oh, like, secret layers, like throwing Fortnite on a card stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's also, like, the alchemy things.
Mm-hmm.
Right, just the random redesign for digital things.
Yep.
Which, you know, the third thing goes kind of against this, but like like a lot of people hated that stuff.
Yes.
We pushed the bounds of what Magic can do, and a lot of people hated it.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about like pushing boundaries, what's like the biggest thing, not necessarily from this past year, but what's the biggest thing that like jumps to your front of your mind?
Like in Magic or just in general?
Well, recent design.
I mean, alchemy?
I was going to say companions.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I mean, that's the most egregious push of what like Magic can do, and it basically broke the game.
Yes.
Likely to never recover. So yeah,
likely
like they're pushing things. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe hold off on pushing things a little bit. Your track record doesn't seem so great.
Yeah, like I know it's like old man yelling at trees, boomer magic kind of, or yelling at clouds, boomer magic kind of thing. But like a lot of these boundaries that you pushed,
yeah,
I think that if you look back on them in like 5 years, it's like, oh, and that's where the game broke.
Yeah.
Like
we're that getting boundary to the right there was the little boy holding his finger in the dam.
Yeah, like we're getting to the point, you know, like Yu-Gi-Oh had to like keep increasing your starting life total because they just kept power creeping the creatures.
Yeah.
And like all the creatures could like one-shot you. So they're like, okay, we got to increase the starting life total. Like at some point, it's gonna have to be like, whew, man, maybe we should start at 30 in a regular game, because like these 1-mana 4/3s are just like.
I mean, you start at 40 now, right?
I guess if you want to talk about it that way.
Cards for.
Right. Another highlight is we experimented with how to properly readjust the color pie.
Well, I mean, like part of this is a highlight, though.
Part of it is. Part of it.
Like, I mean, White needed like a reboot. It was like not just for Commander. Like White was not great in general.
Yeah. I don't know. It seems like they went. I don't know if it's just because it's been 2 years of like put like one borderline eternal white staple in every set.
Yeah.
That it just feels like White's been like over the top. And it might just be because we just keep like jamming the same like, hey, we went from what's it called? Skyclave Apparition into
Brutal Cathar.
Redain. Well, Redain goes Skyclave Apparition and the stupid 2/3 that doesn't make so you can only cast one spell a turn.
Yep.
And then the next set was it Keldheim next?
Mm-hmm.
Which gave us Redain.
Yep.
And Luminarch Aspirant was in Battle for Zendikar.
Yep.
In Zendikar, right?
Yep, sure was.
Into Paulo.
Yep.
In Strixhaven. What was the set after Strixhaven?
AFR.
Yeah, there was no good cards in that.
That's Deadly Dispute.
Deadly Dispute, exactly. It's the packs you can get Deadly Dispute in, and then things that you don't think about again.
Right.
Flump was supposed to be the white card from that.
Yeah.
And then, right, we go into
the 2 Innistrad sets.
The 2 Innistrad sets, and you get Brutal Cathar.
Yep.
And Thalia.
And Welcoming Vampire, I think, is...
And Welcoming Vampire. Right? Like, so just like every set, it was just like, hey,
yeah,
would you like a 3 mana busted white card?
Yeah.
Pick one. And here's a couple 2-drops to just hold it. Oh, and whatever the mythic was, the like kicker mythic cycle.
Oh, yeah. Intrepid
Adversary?
Yeah.
Right? And so it's just like, hey, would you like a thing? It's like, yeah, fine, I guess I'll take a thing. But yeah, I see like the issue with like saying white was the worst color in Commander, so we had to make it not the worst color, is the like issue with now red's the worst color in Commander.
Yeah, I mean there has to be a worse color, right?
Right.
Like, not all colors are equal.
In like a year and a half, when everyone's like, "Oh my god, red's so bad," right? And they start like trying to fix red, right? Like that's just gonna cause more problems. Like,
yeah,
I know people weren't happy. Again, I don't get this. My identity is tied to this Mirage Zebra Plains. And I have to be able to play this Mirage Zebra Plains to express myself in Commander.
Yeah.
Like, okay. But then I always lose. Okay, so what's more important to you? Expressing yourself or winning? And they're like, yes.
I need both.
I need both. I need my Zebra Plains.
Yep.
And I need to not get clowned every game. And they're like, okay, fine. Here's Mangara. The new Mangara. And here's this and here's that. Are your games slightly better now? I am no longer getting clowned by everyone.
Yeah.
Are you happy? I guess.
For now.
For now. Could I have a free white counterspell? Maybe.
Incoming. Wait until Modern Horizons 3 Lord of the Rings edition.
Exactly.
It'll be a pitch elemental that's Shadowfax.
There's and he said that they were also working on the other color identities. But that was kind of like less out in the open. I think the biggest thing there is the fact that black can get rid of enchantments now.
Yeah, I mean its hands are super tied like in doing so, but yes.
Yeah, I mean
they also like bent the hell out of the color pie.
Mm-hmm.
Like they didn't just redistribute things. I think, we've talked about it on the show a couple times, and there was like a big hubbub on Twitter, I don't know, over the weekend or last week sometime about treasures. Like treasures just make it
annihilate
so
the color pie.
Yeah, like doesn't matter anymore. Like it lets every color do everything.
That was something I talked about in the pre-show today.
Yeah, was
just like the red black mid-range deck in Explorer / like Pioneer.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that like you'll like play a game and they have like 4 treasures and they just have a turn where they like have 15 mana.
Yeah,
and you're like, that's not red black. You're not allowed to do that.
They go 1, 2, 3, 6.
Yeah, like that's not what you're supposed to do.
Yeah,
but because they put reasonable treasure cards like it only takes a few, right? Deadly Dispute and Fable the Mirror Breaker. Right now you have these like and Shambling Ghast.
Yeah.
To a lesser extent. You have these decks that are just like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna have, you know, 5 mana on turn 3 in white black, which we saw happen over and over and over again in Standard.
Right.
And like, I have a feeling that like if you hit them with some like True Serum, you would get the like. Remember what Pachian said about Arboreal Grazer?
No, what do you say?
He was just like, huh. Yeah, we never thought this card would be constructed playable.
Oh.
And it was like the glue that held together like all the blue-green decks.
Well, I mean,
like,
that's just
constructed playable. On turn 2.
It's like Eternal playable. Do you know how much a foil Arboreal Grazer was worth?
Aren't they like $8 or $10 or something?
They're 20-something.
Dear God.
Yeah.
Right? But like, I think if you like gave them some like True Serum, they would be like, yeah, we didn't see like Shambling Ghast into Deadly Dispute, half 5 mana on turn 3 as like a play pattern that would happen.
Right.
And it's like, like that was the only play pattern that happened in decks that had swamps in them. Yeah, that was the only play pattern.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, neat.
Yeah.
But I think that like with like treasures and you know the what's his name? Saffron Olive always talks about Unholy Heat.
Yeah.
And how like Unholy Heat is just a 1 mana terminate.
Right, it's just 1 mana kill something.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, we probably shouldn't have 1 mana terminate.
Right.
In red, like that's not what red's supposed to do. Like when your opponent resolves a Primeval Titan, you're supposed to not have a clean answer if you have mountains in your deck.
Yeah, for 1 mana.
Yeah. I mean, I guess terminate is the cleanest answer for with mountains in your deck, but like that's not supposed to be a thing.
Right.
Right, you're supposed to be like, oh man, I guess I'm gonna lightning bolt it and then sack this thing to deal a damage to it and then shock it and okay, that we got there. It took me 3 cards.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Or like I'm gonna have to go to my turn and use 2 sorceries and
bolt, snap, bolt.
Yeah, and not just be like, huh, 6 it.
Yeah.
So like that was so like throughout the year there's definitely been like a smearing of the like everything, every color can do everything.
Yeah.
Right? Because like I guess black now is the only color that can't get rid of an artifact.
For now.
For now. Red's the only color that can't get rid of an enchantment.
For now.
For now.
Yep.
Right? Like white draws cards and like again like, oh, pay 1, or if you don't pay 1, it's like you're drawing cards.
Yeah. I mean, blue's not supposed to be able to kill creatures, but now it turns them into like exiles them or makes them 0/1s or whatever.
Yeah, like you know, whatever witness protection.
Yep. Or
like you effectively killed my creature.
Yeah.
Yeah, you effectively killed my creature. Let's stop with the like you didn't kill my creature thing.
Right.
And then this last one, we adapted our design to the feedback of our customers.
Yeah, the way he writes this, it sounds like it's something that's in progress, so I don't know how you can include it under like the previous year's highlights. Unless they mean they're adopting to like all Commander all the time. I don't understand how you've
reading it. I think it is all Commander all the time.
Yeah.
Because like what is the thing we've talked about the last like 2 years, right? Is all the cards that we're like, huh, that's clearly a Commander plant, right? Are just like, oh no, that card's busted in Standard.
Yeah, it's just the best.
Right, like, oh hey, this like 4-color Omnath is gonna be really hard to cast. Oh no, it's not. It's just busted in like every format it's legal in.
Right.
Neat. And so like I feel like there's been a bunch of focus on giving cards to Commander players, right? Or conversely, putting cards in packs that Commander players want to open packs for.
Right.
Right? And in doing that, I think that on one hand, maybe there are people that are super hype, but I think we've talked about like Commander players being like, can you just stop designing for our format?
Yeah.
Right? And then I think that you have a bunch of like constructed players that are like, hey, can every card not be a 3-for-1?
Mm-hmm.
Like, can we stop?
I just want to play mid-range again.
Yeah, like I want to play a Fleece Mane Lion into a Courser of Crufix and like either not be dead or buried.
Mm-hmm.
Like, could you imagine taking like Abzan mid-range and playing against any deck in Standard right now?
Nope.
Just taking the cons of Tarkir. I've got fetch lands, baby. Let's go. Fetch lands and it's so quaint. The Scrylands.
Yeah, the Theros Scrylands.
Like Scryland into Scryland, and it's like, oh man, like am I getting attacked for 8 right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, or like, is my opponent like got a Planeswalker on board?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. But I don't. The bottom 2 cards of my deck are. We did it.
Good job. Unless
Good
you
job.
shuffle them back in with a fetch. So now we're going to move on to some of the lessons learned.
All right.
The first one says they need to be more conscious about backwards compatibility. And when I read this, I was like, yes, we've been saying this for years. That
in years.
Yeah, you need to be testing formats like Legacy and Modern. And no, I don't think that's at all what they mean.
No. So I think much like the last highlight of like, hey, we've like revamped our design to focus on how our players play. Cough, cough, Commander.
Right.
I think that this is basically the point of it is like, hey, people play cards printed today with cards printed 10 years ago. We should try to not make anything that's too egregious.
Yeah.
And so far, it doesn't seem like they've looked for that. I mean, they missed egregious things from like 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Nexus of Fate.
Like Greasefang and Parhelion.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Synergies, you mean, yes.
Yeah, like, because I look at it as like, things like Thassa's Oracle.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they even admitted in like one of the design things, like, yeah, it didn't seem cool enough, so we slapped the like win the game text on it.
Right.
No one thought anything about it. It's like, oh, so you just like made like an uninteractable win condition for like every combo deck in Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I guess we did, huh? Oopsie.
Yep. Sorry.
Right, and so I think there are, as our focus is on like, hey, can we like stop printing like the absolute best version of fill in the blank card that now has to go as like a 4 of in every Legacy deck?
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're running into that problem with Commander, right?
Yeah.
Right, like every Commander precon now, right, has the absolute best version of that Commander,
right,
that has ever been printed.
Yeah, they're
right. You're like
pushing other commanders out of the format, basically.
Mm-hmm. Again, like my identity is tied to Tatiova,
mm-hmm.
and they're like, "Yo, you want a better Tatiova?
Yeah, you AC now."
Yeah, you AC now, my dog. Just slow Tatiova in the 99.
That's right.
Right, and so there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of that
mm-hmm.
where like every time they print a new thing, it's just like, oh hey, this pushes this other card out, or there's just like some egregious interaction that is on Reddit like 5 minutes after it's spoiled.
Yeah, and
you're just like, but how did we not see this?
Mm-hmm.
And they're just like, and they're like, did you look? Now Brian Gottlieb was on not design, but like at the very back end of Kamigawa design.
Okay.
Right, basically they gave him the file before it went to like the printers.
Mm-hmm.
and like him and some other people, they were like, so anything like horrible in here? And he had like a couple comments. He's like, yeah, I think I found the Grease Fang Parhelion interaction, but like I didn't think it would be like an entire like format defining deck.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, like 13 power on turn 3.
Seems pretty decent.
Seems pretty decent.
Yeah.
So yeah, like they've needed to be cognizant of backwards compatibility for years.
Yeah.
But since War of the Spark, there's multiple modern and legacy staples in every set now.
Yeah. It does say in this little blurb here that this is probably the current force most likely to change the immediate future of design, though. So maybe in 2 years when we see the implications of this, it'll be toned back a little bit.
I think it's hard, though, because you just get in a situation where, like, if you're not printing the, like, you know, power creep happens because you need people to open packs.
Right.
So, like, if you're not printing the, like, absolute best version of fill in the blank, right, fill in the blank commander, or, like, you know, oh man, we need a better blue 1-drop because Delver's not getting played anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So then you've got to print, like, the best Delver in history.
Yeah.
Right, which I guess would
did.
be color shifted to
right.
Dragon Race Chandler. Right. But, like, oh man, we need a better Heritage Druid.
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna it's gonna tap for 3 mana if you control 3 other elves.
Mm-hmm.
Or 2 other elves. Oh, okay. So the other elves don't tap. Oh no, you can attack with them still.
Or tap them for mana.
Yeah, neat. That seems broken.
Yeah.
Right? So like I feel like while they are worried about that, like there's also like someone over the back of their shoulder just going like, take a mana off of it.
Well,
just remove 1 mana.
Like there's 2 sides to this though, because one side is you solve the problem of power creep, right? And that's what we were just talking about. The other side is that you solve the problem with design space. Like if you need to get people to open packs, one way to do it is to make the cards that they have not as good as the cards they're opening. The other way to do it is to design cards that aren't anything like what they're opening. Like do completely different things. And they're kind of doing that too with all this weird like the digital only cards and the spellbook cards and the sticker cards, and like they're kind of approaching it from both sides. They're power creeping, but they're also like designing wild out there companions and, you know, the most complex mechanics we've ever seen. And
speaking of complexity,
yeah, how about complexity?
They're like, man, we need to be careful with complexity.
Yeah.
Now it was a joke that Theros was the wordiest set of all time.
Yeah.
And that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, hold my beer.
And like, I feel like there's probably 2 or 3 sets that are wordier than Theros Beyond Death.
I'm pretty sure Kamigawa and Streets were both wordier than Theros.
And Strixhaven was really wordy.
Oh yeah,
wordy because of the Deans.
Yep.
The Deans were like, it wasn't just like a flip card that was like 1/1, and then like reveal the top. Look at the top card of your library. You may reveal it.
Wall of text, both sides.
Yeah, and then the backside was flying.
Yeah.
No, it was like, hey, I'm a full and complete mythic.
Mm-hmm.
Flip me over. I am another full and complete mythic. Why are you at rare?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? So he said that since we're moving toward Eternal World, we've upped the amount of complexity we're allowing in each set, right? So, like, thinking about Eternal World, right, Commander, the cards have to be juiced and be doing neat things, right? And that leads to complexity. So they don't want to just make things for complexity's sake.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's been 30 years and we're like kind of up at that point of like
all the low-hanging fruit's gone.
Yeah, there's only so much stuff that you can do on a Magic card. the way that like Magic cards were 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, like this kind of goes hand in hand with complexity, and it's something that they bring up in a different section here. But think about all of the. I think we joked about GameObjects.deck. Think about all the game objects that we've gotten. Blood,
so many.
food, treasures, whatever. But they're all like those are all new designs. Like none of that stuff existed before. I guess clue tokens were the first.
Yeah. I mean, you could argue energy was just like a game object you like tracked on paper.
Yeah, I mean, clues.
Like, it was another resource.
Clues were before energy, though.
They were?
Yeah, shadows was before Kaladesh.
Was it?
Yeah.
Because I thought we. Oh, I guess Ulamog and Emrakul were in the same standard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, yeah. But yeah, I guess clue tokens were first.
Yeah.
But now, like, you know, everything makes a token.
Right.
Right? Again, like playing against that red-black aggro deck or a mid-range deck or really control deck, right?
Whatever you're gonna call it.
An explorer, right? Whatever you're going to call it. Right? At one point, I was like, I don't know what this pile of tokens that they have on their screen on the screen right now is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't click on it to like see like, is it treasures? Is it blood? Like, I don't know. Like, maybe they have 12 mana, maybe they only have 2. Like, I don't know. Right? So there's that, and just like again the wordiness of cards and like. Like, if the first set you ever played was Kamigawa, Neon Dynasty, like, there was so much going on in that set that you're just like, I think it would be easy to lose people.
Yeah.
And just be like, okay, especially if they were playing it in paper, and you have, like, Arena to hold your hand.
I mean, that's a whole nother thing, though, is, like, a lot of these mechanics, it's like they never intended them to be even played in paper.
No, I don't think so.
There's tracking issues with all of them, and we're going to talk about some of that in a minute too, with like day-night. But
I mean, like, it's not a huge thing, but I can't imagine playing with Ledger Shredder in paper.
Right.
How many times would you miss the trigger when your opponent casts 2 spells?
About every time.
I would say about 100%. Maybe if I was really locked in, like 95%.
Yeah.
Right, because like there is
I'd
some
probably
part of
miss
me
it. Like if I did it during my opponent's turn, I would probably miss the trigger.
Yeah, but like your opponent's like, you know, expressive iteration, I'd be like, cool.
Yep.
And then like 5 minutes later, crap, I was supposed to like get a loot out of that.
Yeah.
And like stuff like that, where it's like that is like, it's almost like Mishra's Bubble, right, where they don't do delayed triggers anymore.
Right.
It's like, hey, we're going to trigger this off of stuff you're not doing.
Yeah.
Why? Well, the computer gets it. That's cool, but, like, you print them in paper. Like, this is a nightmare to track.
Yeah, this is eternal playable.
It's fine. Yeah. And then the last one's just funny.
Yeah.
So the last lesson is we need to be more conscious of how we talk about our products.
You don't say.
So, yeah. These are 2 lessons they learned later on. But 1, don't talk about Double Feature as a curated draft environment. And then as he puts it, where was it at? And we're upset that it wasn't a crafted draft experience rather than just 2 sets thrown together.
Yeah.
His words.
Just thrown together.
And that's what it was.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, how can I separate people from their cache without doing anything?
Right.
Right?
Black and white. Put a filter on them. Put them in a pack.
The other example was Commander Legends.
Yeah.
Saying that Commander Legends maybe should have been called like
AFR2. Yeah.
Because like it did not feel like a Commander product. It felt like a D&D product.
So do you think that was more a problem with Commander Legends 2 or Commander Legends 1? Because I think like Commander Legends 1 definitely set an expectation, and maybe that wasn't the expectation that they were trying to set.
Well, I think if you have a product called Commander Legends, and then you have another product called Commander Legends 2,
mm-hmm.
I feel like you're kind of obligated to have Commander Legends 2 be similar to Commander Legends 1. Right? It'd be like if you showed up to like Caddyshack 2 and you got to watch Ghostbusters.
Right, but I think like my point is more, is it that they missed with Commander Legends 1 and Commander Legends 2 was what it was supposed to be all along?
Oh, I think the opposite. I think that Commander Legends 1 is what they wanted.
Yeah.
And then for Commander Legends 2, they were trying to shoehorn it into the D&D IP.
Yeah.
And they couldn't figure out how to put it in the D&D IP while also getting Magic stuff in there.
Yeah. I don't know.
So they were like
the only thing I was thinking is if all Commander Legends is supposed to be is draftable commander, which I think like technically is what it's supposed to be, they could have missed with Commander Legends 1 and just made every card a ringer, where it was supposed to be no, this is only supposed to be like draftable commander, and then Commander Legends 2 is basically only draftable commander with no ringers, and like that's what it was supposed to be. You know what I mean?
I see what you are saying.
I mean, I understand what you're saying too, where
but like
they made an expectation and then failed miserably.
Yes, I mean it'd be like if you went and bought like, Modern Masters 2, and or Modern Masters 3, and they didn't print Time Lord Wayfit Mythic,
right?
And be like, no, you do this every time, right?
Literally every time.
Yes, like there was definitely an expectation of here's what a Modern Masters set is.
Yeah.
Right, and then if they were just like, you know what, we thought we'd make a killer draft environment, but do like no reprints that you guys want.
Yeah.
Right, and then people would be like, no. We do reprints in this set that people want.
Right, it's both. It's
and
both
they're
things.
Like, it's both. And like they could have done like good draft environment and put Mana Drain in it.
Yeah.
And put Dockside Extortionist in it.
Right.
Right, they could have done that, but instead they moved. I don't know if Mana Drain was one of them, but they moved those cards to Double Masters.
Yeah.
And so people were like, yeah, but people were like, hey, like the commander focused reprint should have been over here. So like, I think that if they would have come right out and been like, hey, like the set for this isn't the set for commander reprints. This is the set for you to like go have like a really strong draft environment.
Yeah.
And draft. But like, cynical like business person, right? You can't have that conversation,
right?
Because you need every like commander nerd to go buy a box
or two,
right? Or two, or a case, because hey, this is what I'm gonna be able to like. I'll get you to luck into Dockside Extortionist, right, or whatever. And so you're like Commander Legends 2, and they're like awesome, and they went and they like pre-ordered it before the full spoiler was out.
Got them.
And then they were like, oh no.
Yeah. Mistakes were made.
I'm in too deep. So this is good that they want to be, I guess, more honest about the products they're going to be. But again, like they're in no world will they be like, hey, Innistrad double feature is gray cards and just the two sets put together with no thought into how they would draft.
Yeah.
Like they would never say that before the set came out.
Right.
Right? So, like, oh, it's a unique draft experience. It's like, oh. It sure is.
It sure is. All right. So, for the rest of this stuff, I don't think we have to hit, like, every single point.
No.
And I don't think we have to cover all of every point either. But they break it down by set. So, next is Midnight Hunt. They said the new mechanics were mostly popular. I think Decayed was pretty good. I think it was stronger than most people thought, and it was like a pleasant surprise to discover that. And I think that's what people liked about the mechanic. It's not that like tokens that fall apart are inherently cool. It's that people were surprised at how well it worked.
I think it was when everyone realized they forgot to cost the token
Yeah.
onto any of the cards.
Yep.
That they were like,
Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah. And then,
so, yeah.
They mentioned Disturb and Day Night also. Disturb is whatever. I don't know if I'd necessarily call it popular, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah, it's fine.
Day Night, like tracking issues aside, is also fine. It's probably how it should have been done all along.
Probably.
Again, tracking issues aside, I do have a problem with the way it's tracked, but
yeah, it's tracked horribly.
Yeah.
It's tracked horribly in paper, but again, they were just like, the computer will do it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's still, werewolves have that problem of like, hey, I'm a little behind. I missed the land drop, and it's just like, oh, you did, huh?
Oh yeah.
Now you did.
That's right.
It's like, oh, this game could have gone on for like 4 more turns. No, can't.
No.
It's gotta end now because you missed your land drop and you didn't cast a spell.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's not fun.
I think like some of this next stuff, I think we can skip.
Yeah.
I did want to talk about the very last thing is that they said the new land cycle was exciting. I agree. I think the new land cycle was great.
Yeah, I think it was good. I mean, it's in that weird spot of like, is this playable? And like, it's playable in certain kinds of decks.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is the perfect spot for a land cycle.
Yeah.
I don't think a land cycle should be instant staple in every format, every archetype.
Agreed.
So I agreed. I thought that was good.
I do like that they realized that in the set that's like about werewolves, you need to make the werewolf archetype not terrible.
Ironically, they had the same problem with the vampire archetype in the vampire set.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, vampires was a little bit better than the werewolves were, but it wasn't really a vampire set.
Yeah, it felt like the werewolves in the vampire set were significantly stronger.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah. Then we have, again, like you talked about, like, day-night is not compatible.
Mm-hmm.
And this was, this is going to come up a few times.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the colors weren't of equal power level in limited formats, especially draft. Like, basically, this draft was draft Esper and win.
Yeah.
Draft not Esper and lose.
And I think this is what, like, did the most damage to this format being remembered kind of lackluster, is that this limited environment was just awful.
Yeah. Like, I liked the decks, but what happened is that everyone in the know just drafted every Esper card that wasn't nailed down.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, you could have 2 or 3 people drafting Esper and still have reasonable decks.
And I think that's the biggest problem, is that archetype was so deep that, like you said, you could have multiple people drafting the same archetype and they would still be hands down better than every other deck at the table.
Yeah. All right, on to Crimson Vow. So they said that people liked having the mechanical overlap between sets. It's like, I wonder.
Almost like it's a 2-set block, right?
Yeah, because like that's how it was for years and years and years and years.
Yeah.
People were like, oh, it's nice that we're on the same plane for more than 1 second.
Yeah.
And like things kind of sort of work together, at least have the same names.
I mean, they were close enough where you could just smash the 2 sets together and draft it, right?
Sure. And then people liked blood.
Yeah.
And R&D has been designing more artifact tokens of late. Blood tokens are the latest edition. Like, there is a problem with like game objects. Just the sheer number of game objects that get like created in a game of Magic now. Yeah. But like blood is a very good limited mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that it's like right at that level where it's like maybe too good because it like carries over to constructed so well. I mean, there's only 2 cards that make blood tokens that really get played.
Mm-hmm.
But like I think we've all like gone Valdoran Epicure into like 2 turns from now, sack my blood token to turn on my Fatal Push.
Yeah.
And kill your 4-drop, and it's like, oh.
Yeah.
Like playing playing like Esper and not having ways to turn on my Fatal Pushes, like, was super noticeable.
Yeah. I actually really liked Blood. I thought it was a great mechanic. I was happy with the power level. I love game objects, so I didn't have a problem with there being more game objects. Actually, my like biggest complaint with Blood is that it's thematically tied specifically to vampires on Innistrad, which
They talked about this on LR.
Did they?
That like it's such a good limited mechanic.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if they reworked it for another set.
Yeah, maybe
so
not like
that
evergreen, but deciduous or whatever.
Yeah, like he was like, I don't know, Ethereum cells, which we've already had.
Right.
We burnt that name, but whatever, right? Just because it smooths out limited games so well. But like, you have the food issue, right? Like, let's say they decided that they were gonna like make a a blood centric Modern Horizons, right? And then like it's like, oh man, like Urza's too good with us making all these blood tokens.
Yeah.
Right? It's this weird thing, right? Where since they are like they need to be a game object, they need to be a thing, right? But then they have value beyond the thing that they're that they are. It's like, oh, like I can tap these for mana in the right deck. Right? That there's something on the board that I can sack to a Corvold.
Yeah.
Right? Like you just get these like on one hand it's neat to discover those synergies, but then you run the risk of, and I don't think Blood's here yet, of it just like being oppressive. Like remember the glory days of Gilded Goose being modern playable because it like made an artifact game object?
Yep.
Right? And like it's like, oh, that's probably a problem. I don't care about the other. Yeah. Did you think the wedding theme was fun? I didn't care.
No, I mean I knew that like there was a wedding happening in the story, but I didn't care about there being a wedding.
Like that. Training, cleave, and exploit were more miss than hit.
Got that right?
Yeah, exploit is a fine mechanic. Like I'm fine with it. I was excited that it came back. I was like, oh, I like this.
Oh, that's true. I actually liked exploit the first time around.
Yeah, I think was it none of the cards did the thing well.
Yeah.
Right, like is the best exploit card the 4-mana. Well, I guess it's Fell Stinger, the 3-mana sack a creature, draw 2, lose 2, and then the like whatever the scab is.
Yeah, the scab was good.
The 3 in a blue exploit get a spell back.
Yeah.
But like Cleave was like
a meme.
Yeah, we need 8 cards. We need a mechanic to fill out 8 cards.
Yeah.
And like they just gave it to the intern.
Yep.
He was like, dude, brackets.
The intern was learning how to make YouTube videos, and he learned that brackets are what drive the algorithm, so he put brackets on all the cards.
He's like, I found these 2 keys beside my P. Look at this. So cool. I gotta figure out how to incorporate this into the game.
Yeah.
I like this. And vampires needed to be better.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, like I don't remember playing vampires. Well, part of the problem was like in the first set, Disturbed was just like all your cards were a 2-for-1. And in the second set, Disturbed, all your cards were kind of a 2-for-1.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I'm gonna take the 2-for-1s.
Right.
But like, I don't think that the vampires need to be better from a like constructed point of view. Like these are limited issues.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the things for both of these sets were limited issues. More so limited than constructed, I think. Like the wedding theme, I don't think anybody cared about for constructed. I mean, blood has certainly shown up in constructed, but I think like the vast majority of both of these sets, most of the concerns were for limited.
Kamigawa. It was a good set.
It was a good set.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know who's like talking, like responding to things, being like, I really like the themes of traditional Japanese culture, juxtaposed with the modern world. Like that, I don't. Apparently, they're like going deep in some like things because like who's like talking about that?
I mean, this is something that I have heard from people. So,
Okay.
I mean, it might not be something that I particularly care about, but it is something I've heard from players, and like, I don't want to rain on someone's parade. Like they can, if they think that's cool, that's fine.
Yeah, they think it's cool, but I don't know. It just does not resonate with me. How about that?
Yeah.
Throwback references.
I didn't play during the original Kamigawa, so that didn't really resonate with me either.
Yeah. Like, really, I only knew, like, Kiki-Jiki.
Yep.
And if, like, Fable the Mirror Breaker was, like... And Azusa. If Fable the Mirror Breaker was, like, a C-, out of people would be, like, talking lovingly about how it was great to see, like, a reference to Kiki-Jiki.
Yeah. It was a great limited set.
Yes. Yes.
It's an all-timer.
Yeah, it was. It was very good. The mechanics seemed much beloved. I think the mechanics were good. I worry about the sagas. Like, I think the sagas are too good.
The sagas from this set, you mean, or sagas like
yes,
as a mechanic?
The sagas from this set.
Yeah.
Right, like
them flipping into something that sticks around and like has value.
It's kind of like it's just adventure, right? It's adventure on layaway.
Yeah.
But you don't have to pay the mana twice. Right. And I wish I would have like come up with that analogy when the set came out.
Yeah.
But like it is, it's just like I pay 3 mana for Fabled Mirrorburger, I get 2 things. I pay 2 mana for Machika's Reign of Truth. And if somehow your opponent's not dead from taking like 40 in 2 straight turns, he flips over into a 12/12.
Right.
And it's like, oh, well, oops.
What'd you think about Reconfigure?
It is fine. Like, I think it's good. But like, I don't know. It's weird. It's fine. Like, it's interesting. I'm not one to get super hyped about things, and I'm low on sleep. But
I really like Reconfigure. I thought it was a cool way to do a thing, and also gives like extra utility to equipment that are kind of hard to design.
Yeah.
Because
like equipment are in this weird spot that like they're either unplayable or broken.
Yeah, there's no middle ground. And I think Reconfigure is a good way to give equipment middle ground. You don't have to turn the knobs as hard to try and like make it playable when like it can just be, I don't know, a 3/3.
Yeah.
So I thought Reconfigure was a cool way to solve that problem.
We can skip the next 2.
Yep, I think so.
Players were sad we were only on Kamigawa for 1 set.
So the lesson they learned from Kamigawa was that people like good sets.
Yeah.
Wild.
Like, hey, you made a good set. I wish we could have more good sets.
Yeah. Oh, wait. We spent 2 sets on Innistrad and nobody wanted to be there.
Yeah, because he did a bad job with us.
Yeah.
And like people were upset that they didn't bring back every reference in the original 3 blocks of Kamigawa.
Well,
like they were there for a whole year.
Well, not only that though, like those were, I think one of the problems with original Kamigawa is that they were overly complex sets to start with. I mean, I didn't play then, so I don't know firsthand, but like looking back, like those mechanics seem awful fiddly.
Yeah, but like if like there's no way you could put Arcane,
right,
or like some callbacks to Soul Shift, or all of the old dragons, all of the old legends, and like all of these callbacks to those things in one 300 card set,
right?
When you had 800 cards to do it, when you did it the first time.
Yeah. I agree.
Like, it wasn't clear if it was a creature, an enchantment, or an artifact. Yeah, I can see that. Like, just like a game object, like,
Yeah.
what is what?
Yeah.
Complexity was a tad high.
A tad.
Like, there was a lot going on there.
This was a very complex set.
All right. Streets of New Capenna.
Yeah, I feel like they were really stretching to find good things to say about Streets. Because they were like, it's a 3-color set. People like 3-color sets.
And then they didn't give us what we like about 3-color sets.
Right. And then the family mechanics were mostly well-liked. Well, that's not... Sure, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, there were lots of cool individual designs. I mean, you can say that about, like, literally any set.
Any set. Like, there were, like, 3 really cool cards from the worst set in Magic's history.
Right.
That doesn't override the fact that it's the worst set in Magic's history.
Yeah.
Like that, and fans enjoyed the look and feel of the plane.
Yep.
Sure. There are taxis in Magic now.
Yep. Whatever. Somebody described New Capenna as what'd they say? Ravnica with a bowler hat.
Bowler hat Ravnica.
Yeah.
JC blinders.
Yeah. It just seems like everything they put down here as a highlight is like very not specific to New Capenna.
You could take these highlights and copy and paste them for any other set.
Yeah. So
other than the multicolor, you could just be like boop.
Yeah.
Boop, and it'd just be like yeah.
Totally.
Like the plane was a little one note and the factions weren't distinct enough.
I think you just summed it up with what you just said, where you can take all of the high points of this set and copy paste them to any other set. Means like exactly that this plane was one note.
Yeah, I think that like this, like what? Where were their cops? Why were there law enforcement? Blah blah blah. And it's like, I don't know. Like I don't get super deep in the story, but like I was just like, all right, like fine. Like I'm fine with like what we have going on. Like just like if you make a movie about like the interactions of like mob families, maybe the cops are not prominently featured in it because you're doing the interactions of these like families, and so like that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And for like the 3rd time, there were issues with draft.
Yeah.
And we talked about this on the show a few times. This is the most egregiously bad draft format they have done in a very long time.
Coming off the heels of one of the best.
Yes. Some of the issues, the biggest for me, and I think for everyone, is when I heard 3-color set, I was like, sweet, we're drafting like 4 and 5 color piles.
Yep.
Just take all the rares, Jesus, take the wheel, we'll figure out how to cast these things.
Yep.
And it was like, nope, go 1, 2, 3, hasty creature you can't block, or you're not playing the game properly. Or you go like blue, white, flyer, 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 win the game.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And, they fire designed themselves into a bad format.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They missed with a couple commons.
Yep.
Like, Inspiring Overseer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of the, like, red and black commons.
Yeah. A little too powerful.
And by doing that, it was just like, yeah, you don't have, like, a reasonable format now.
Yeah. The story stuff, like they said, the story wasn't very well explained, and it wasn't.
No.
I mean, I know that's not really important to you. It's not super important to me, but I could see where people were upset about the story not making sense.
I found out deep in, like, apparently the plane had been destroyed by the Phyrexians.
Yeah.
And, like, New Capenna was built on the, like, wreckage of the, like, New Phyrexians, and the angels only existed because they were, like, conjured to fight the Phyrexians.
I don't think
or something like that.
That's true.
I thought it was
the angels sacrificed themselves to provide the demons with the tools needed to kill the Phyrexians, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like that is, especially when you're like have been like donking us over the head with like, here come the Phyrexians.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden there's this set that like doesn't seem to have this connection to that.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I haven't watched my Magic Arcanum on this set, but right, like it just seems like you missed an opportunity to be like, hey, we're setting this thing up for real, for real.
Yeah, I mean, there should have been some reference somewhere.
And I do like the fact that the tricolored lands should have been called Triomes.
Yes.
This is more a naming issue than a design one, but I heard it a lot.
Yeah.
It's
because you called them Triomes and then you didn't.
Yeah, exactly. Like you either, for like, they either needed to be like whatever the name of the like big dinosaur was, you know, whatever, like Bob's Ballyard or something. And then it makes sense when you have like Xander's Lounge. It's like, oh,
yeah,
we were Bob's Ballyard, now we have Xander's Lounge. But to be like, you know, something Triome and then like whatever, Zatora's Proving Ground. It's like it could have just been like Zatora's Triome.
Right.
Done.
Yep.
We did it. Xander's Triome. And I know that's not their thing, but like it's someone's thing.
Right. Would have been easier to reference.
Yeah. Now, I can't speak to anything about Commander's Baldur's Gate. I did like one midweek Magic, and that was it.
Oh, I didn't even do that. I played 0 Baldur's Gate Limited.
Yeah. So, that could be a problem for them.
Yep.
That two people that have a podcast and play tons of Magic have just 100% ignored that this set exists. I have so many gems and so much gold from not participating in any drafts for an entire season.
I have so much in-game currency, even after I bought both anthologies with in-game currency.
Oh, you did?
I
Ooh.
did. I had all this gold. What was I going to do with it?
Man, I've got like 100,000 gold. And I'm like, no, can't spend it.
Nah, just get it. Like, I thought the Explorer one was a good deal because like a reasonable portion of those cards I think I will use, and for a way to turn gold directly into those cards I thought was probably the best bang for the buck. And then I was like, I'm getting one, I might as well get both.
Yeah. So apparently had flavorful top-down D&D designs.
Sure.
I know even less about D&D.
Yep.
Than I know about the Magic story.
Yep.
Draft was apparently a lot of fun.
That's what they said. I'll take their word for it.
Arena draft, yeah,
I mean, I guess like it kind of loses a lot of its luster on Arena, where you're not actually drafting like a commander pod like you are,
and you're not like drafting the cards as they were designed.
That too, yeah.
Right. It should not have been labeled Commander Legends, which is what we talked about before.
Yes.
So basically these are all the same, right? The first 3 lessons were basically, we should have just said this was a D&D set.
Yep.
Not tied it to Commander at all.
Yep.
And that way people wouldn't have been looking for Magic cards or Magic references in the set.
Yeah. I mean, like I don't know how much of this is something specific for this set and how much all of this stuff is something that they're going to struggle with, like incorporating universes beyond going forward.
Because like in the Lord of the Rings set, right?
Right.
Like they're not going to have,
like they've told us outright that it's not Modern Horizons, but they also like it is Modern Horizons.
It's legal and modern.
Right.
But like they're not going to have like Urza and Frodo kicking it.
Yeah.
Right? So like there's not going to be any Magic references.
Right.
And, you know, I feel like they maybe communicated that better than they did with Commander Legends.
Yeah.
Right? Because they could have been like, because it was like, it's D&D themed. It could have just been like, it's a D&D set, full stop.
Yeah.
Like, don't expect anyone you recognize from anywhere else.
Yeah.
These are all new peeps. Right? And there wasn't much mechanical innovation. Oh, there was tons because, like, you know, you had all the cards with the same name with the same art that did different things on different platforms.
Yeah.
So there was tons of mechanical. There were twice as many mechanics.
They made up for it in the arena release.
Yes, they were like, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's innovate in digital.
Yep.
So, I don't know. Like, I think I agree with a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that so a few things, right? We had mentioned, we might have mentioned before that like a while back they split off a like commander or a casual playtest group.
Yeah.
And you know, it is important to test for commander, which they may be missing stuff within this new eternal world, right? But right, like how much of that pulled away from like 60 card formats?
I don't know.
Right?
And like I don't know what they're actually testing either. Because it's like casual play design is what they call it, right?
Yeah.
Because we're getting a whole bunch of casual products, like products that are just for casual players. And I don't know that like an actual set release is for a casual player.
Fair.
Like they do the game nights now where it's like a set of 5 decks or whatever. Like I assume that they play test those. And like jumpstart packs. We're getting jumpstart packs with every set now. I'm assuming like those are the sorts of things that casual design is working on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I thought
like,
it was more
casual
commander.
Design... Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
See here. Okay, so the team is responsible for this is according to MTG Wiki. The team is responsible for making Commander and other casual formats fun and balanced.
Okay.
Balanced means something different for competitive than casual play because of how much more diverse the experience is from player to player. So the team will not focus on balance in the same way that competitive play design does.
Okay.
The primary focus will be finding rates and play patterns that make the format the most fun for everyone. So like they look at things like how likely is the card to show up? Is it fun if it does show up in high quantities? How much fun is this for the table? Net fun. How easy or difficult is it to include this in your deck? So, well, that is, I guess my worry there is, right, like you could make something that's like fun for like a table of 4.
Yeah.
That is misery for a table of 2.
Right.
And it feels like they've done that a lot.
Yep.
Where it's just been like, oh, this is rough. Oh man, Paul Cheon is in Paul Cheon is a former member of Play Design. Oh. I was looking, I thought he was okay, he's not in casual. Okay. Whew. But like I think that they've focused on that to some degree, which is, you know, hurt the competitive side some. And also like if you like splinter these people off, right? Like it sounds like the way they test limited is from the way like LSV describes like testing limited in his experience and how he thinks it goes down is like they don't draft the set. Maybe they play like sealed 2 or 3 times and go like that's fine. And the rest of it is like we designed a bunch of sets before.
Yeah, so
we know what we're doing. And like I feel like they need to sit down and draft some of these sets.
Yeah.
Like every Friday should be like draft day. Where like they draft.
I don't know if you can get good information that way though.
I think that as you get towards the end, right? And like you do a draft.
Yeah.
And like every time someone resolves Inspiring Overseer, you want to die. And you're like, oh, maybe this is too good for a common because this card is soul crushing every time my opponent casts it.
Yeah, like I guess what I'm thinking though is that when the file is changing constantly, like I don't know how long they have to play test the final version of the set. And
Fair.
if they only have, 3 Fridays to draft the set, like realistically, how many drafts are they going to get in?
Fair. I'm just thinking more like if you did, you know, if you did, if you got 6 drafts in,
mm-hmm.
you would have run into probably the person who was like Grixis with like a light blue splash that just like blitzed you into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, is Blitz too good?
Yeah.
Is this card too good because, right? Does it need to blitz, deal 4 damage, draw a card, and leave behind a 2/2?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think that those kind of things, maybe they could catch.
Yeah, maybe.
And now the LR has mentioned this, that like we've been so accustomed to good draft formats that the bad draft formats are often better than what a draft format was 15 years ago.
Right.
Right? But like, I don't know, if like every set's a 9 and then you make like a 5, that's super noticeable.
Right.
Right? And like you can miss, but maybe you miss to like a 7 and people are like, it's fine. They're not like aggressively mad at the set.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think people were just like, like a weekend, people were like, New Japan is the worst draft format.
Yeah.
And then like,
I think I was 2 days in.
Yeah, then they put Commander Legends 2 on Arena, and that took the crown as the worst draft set.
Yeah.
So, I think that it is a fine retrospective. I do think that there is maybe, and we've talked about this, too much of a focus on Commander.
I mean, I definitely think that, but I don't think it's changing anytime soon either. So.
No, I think that like they've decided that Commander's where they're going to make their money.
Yep.
And so they have to
they're
design.
Probably right. Like they
They have to design cards for Commander. Yeah, they have to design cards for Commander.
Yep.
So
it's just unfortunate.
Yeah. We were going to talk about the anthologies, but we're in super deep.
Yeah, maybe next week.
I do have a brief story of Parenting Corner here.
All right.
So we took Gavin to the beach on Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
And so we diligently sunscreened him up. I sunscreened myself up. He wanted to go into the water, so I had to go with him. And Hannah put her sunscreen on. We were outside for like 2 hours. Come home, go to take a shower. And I had missed the insides of both of my knees. And I was sitting cross-legged.
Oh, no.
Playing with him. So the insides of both of my knees where my swimming trunks stopped were just bright red. And Hannah, because I was with Gavin in the water and she was alone putting on her sunscreen, you could see on her back where she was able to get some sunscreen and then where she missed.
Yeah.
So she's all red. My knees are all burnt. But Gavin, 100% sunburn free. Well, so we did our job.
Yep, at least that's a bonus.
We're both scorched in different areas, but he's just like, what are you talking about? It was great, man. Like no ill effects.
Yeah, for people that aren't local to this latitude, the sun down here is pretty brutal. Like half hour, 45 minutes is plenty enough for you to feel the pain when you take a shower.
Yeah, we were out there for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was like, got in that, like took off my shorts and was like, oh no, it was like, whitest man in America, red.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, this is bad.
My wife and I enjoy, going out to dinner, a couple decent beers or whatever. And being in a tourist town, you can always spot the people that are here from out of town because they are like a lobster.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, you must be miserable.
Yeah, I can't believe you're out in public right now. I would just want to be in a bathtub.
Yeah, just full of ice. Just All right. Well, with that, I think we have a show.
Yeah, we got a show.
Um, again, if you have anything you want to ask us about for our mailbag episode or any kind of interaction, all of our social media links are in the description below.
Yeah, hit us up. If you guys want to support the show, 2 ways to do it. First is our TCG player affiliate link, tcg.casualtryhardmtg.com. Use that link to head over to TCG player. Anything you purchase will help support the show, and we really appreciate all the support we can get. So thank you in advance. If you want to support us directly, patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg. You get access to our show notes. You get access to about another hour-ish worth of content every week. You get to listen to our pre-show. And you get put on my mailing list for when I have stuff to send out to you guys. Probably later on this month, I think. Like this is the month that I'm doing it. So probably later on this month that'll go out. So if you want to be included, patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg and chip a couple bucks in. Thanks in advance.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. And with that, we'll catch you on the internet.
We'll catch you on the internet.